You are now listening to Uplifted by Jackson Anderson.
Welcome back to Uplifted. I'm super excited for this episode today because today we're talking about a good one. We're going to get into the topic of joy. So, the affirmation for today is joy is a choice. And I want to kick things off by talking about mindset. I think a lot of joy and a lot of happiness you can feel is mostly just about your mindset. You know, you hear it all the time. What's a growth mindset and what's a fixed mindset? And I think that there's so many times in life and so many times you can use this wherever, where you just need to get out of your fixed mindset and have a growth mindset, and everything will just seem like it's fixed, you know. But I think that joy is like a growth mindset, you know. Growth mindset, you hear it in school all the time, you know. You're always just like, if you want it, if you believe you can get it, you will. If you think, I'm not there yet, how can I grow? Mistakes help me learn, all that good stuff. If you think about that, that will help you learn. And a fixed mindset is when you're just like, okay, well, I made a mistake. I'm never going to get it. I'm really bad at this. And it just keeps taking you downhill from there. So growth mindset, you know, with happiness, a lot of people think that, you know, some days you'll feel happy, some days you won't. You know, if you wake up and you're walking to school and you're stressed, your alarm clock went off late, you didn't wake up, you didn't have time to get breakfast, your homework's due today, you have a big test coming up, you know, you just think that you're going to get stressed all today and that today won't be very good. You think that I'm going to be stressed a lot today and I won't feel super happy today. But when you have a growth mindset, you can start and have that same scenario, you know. Let's even add on you failed that test, that big day. And you're coming home from school and you're like, all right, well, that wasn't very good, you know. How can I make this better? And then you can use your growth mindset and you can just think, okay, what can I learn from that? And how did it affect my happiness? I think that if you just slow down and start thinking, okay, well, what can I learn from that? And realize that you actually have a lot of things you can be grateful for there. Even if it's the annoying one of, okay, I made a mistake, I can learn from that mistake, you know. A lot of people say that, and a lot of people are like, yeah, but I still made the mistake. But I think the mistakes really help us learn. And especially when you're not feeling happy and you're not feeling joy, I think mistakes can really be like, okay, you take a step back, you see it, and you're like, okay, I made that, I probably shouldn't have reacted this way, or probably shouldn't have seen it that way, or shouldn't have said this, or I should have thought this, you know, all that stuff. And if you look at it and say, okay, well, next time that happens, what can I do to respond in joy and respond happy and make me feel happier? And I think doing that really, really affects you. And it's one of the biggest things that can affect how you feel happy is just the way you think about it. And really, you can just say, okay, well, happiness doesn't affect on what happens to me. Happiness is affected when I choose to be happy. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is happiness versus joy. You know, you hear both of those words, and they both kind of sound the same. They both kind of mean the same, right? But I did some research before this, and I looked it up. You know, when you look it up on Google, it says happiness is just pleasure and the feeling of pleasure. But then I kept looking more, and I found some articles, and most people say happiness is short-term. You don't feel it forever. And it's based on self-achievements or self-victory, you know, like I've had times where I've done something really good and I feel happy, and it's not a bad thing. And they say a lot of happiness is also getting, not giving. And so if you're Christmas Day, you're getting all these presents, you feel happy, right? And then I thought, okay, well, let's look up joy. So I looked up joy, and it says joy's a lot more long-term. You feel joy when you're together with other people. You feel joy when you're sharing with others. You feel joy when you're doing service. You feel joy when you're giving. I found an article that says the difference between joy and happiness. And it said that happiness is you just won a championship, but joy is the celebration after sharing food, laughing, sharing jokes, and helping your friends and with other people. I thought that was really interesting, because they both mean the same, but they're both very distinctly different. I had actually never thought about that, how happiness is found by yourself and how joy is found with others. And as soon as I read all of this, it instantly made me think of President Nelson. He is a century old now, and he's getting old and he's getting weary. And there's been times where he looks hurt. But every time I see his face, and if you don't know what I'm about to talk about, then I would go look it up. But every time I see his face in conference, on pictures, on the church's website, he always looks happy. And actually, I think instead of happy, you should say he always looks joyful. There was one conference where he had fallen and he had hurt his back pretty bad, and he said that was one of the most painful things he's ever felt, and he had to give his conference talk from a chair. But his eyes were just glowing. And maybe it's because I don't know him personally, but every time I've ever seen him, he just looks like he's glowing. He just looks like covered in light. He's never looked angry. And like I said, he's getting old. He's getting weary. Most people you see at 100 years old or even younger, they look weary. They look worn out. And I'm not saying he isn't looking older, but his face still looks happy. And I think that part of the reason he's joyful and part of the reason he looks so hopeful and everything is because I think he's found joy in service. I think that he's been able to, help other people, because he's a heart doctor. He's actually one of the most famous heart doctors, most renowned heart doctors in the world. And he's came up with some super amazing way to have heart surgery and heart transplants. And I think because he's been able to help so much people, and he's the prophet of our church, and I think because he's been able to be the heart doctor, and because he's been able to be that prophet and help and bless so many people all around the world, I think that's truly bring him joy. So I think we could all take a page out of his book. I think we should all try some service. And I've noticed this too. I feel happy just when I'm like doing something fun or hanging out with friends or watching a movie or eating my favorite food or going out to eat at my favorite restaurant, all that good stuff. But I think I feel joy when I'm at church, when I'm helping others, when I'm reading the scriptures, even when I'm in seminary. And I think it's because you're really focusing on that. And I think all joy and happiness comes from Christ. I think Christ, he's the light of the world, but I also think he's the joy of the world. I think that all joy is found in Christ, and all joy comes from Christ. Every picture you see of Christ, just like President Nelson, he's just glowing. Every painting, every representation of him, he just is glowing. And he paid for our sins, he died for us, but he just looks so happy. And I think we can all learn from that. And I think we should all, if we're ever feeling sad, I think we should all try service. I think we should all try to be better. And just one step at a time, one day at a time, one little small act at a time, I think we should all try to get better and try and find that joy. Because like I said before, joy doesn't depend on your circumstance. It depends on your mindset. And so if you're not feeling good, just get up off the couch, get up off your phone and just say, okay, I'm going to go help some people. I'm going to go try and feel joy. And, I think that will just truly, truly bless you. And I think finding joy is even more important than being happy. Because like I said before, happiness is short-term and joy is long-term. So my challenge to you guys is if you're ever not feeling happy, if you're ever not feeling super joyful, I encourage you guys to go out and try sharing with others. Have a heartfelt moment with somebody. Go out and be with someone and be with a group that you love to spend time with. And try doing a service project or go share a gift with them or even just go talk to them and be a friend and be there for them. That's how you can find joy. In one of the articles I read, it was a New York Times article, and it was the difference between joy and happiness. And the guy said, happiness is within you. But then it said, joy is years of changing diapers, years of sitting on the porch watching sunsets with someone you love. Joy is hanging out with your kids. Joy is doing service, joy is going to church, all these things. And you realize that joy is so much more long-term, so much more, so much more deeply felt. Because I think happiness, it's a feeling, but joy is something that you always want. And joy is something that you can find instead of feel. And I think joy is, like it's long-term, I think joy can help you get back to heaven. So that's my challenge to you guys. Find some joy in your life. Go help someone. Go serve someone. All right, that's the end of this episode. If you guys liked what you heard and you want to be uplifted more often, please hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification button so when I come out with new episodes, you'll be there and be the first one to be able to hear it. Thank you, guys.